Am I the a-hole for not inviting my friend to my wedding after she disinvited me from her ceremony even though I made a cake? My 31 female friend, 33 female, got married in fall 2019 at her family home in a small ceremony because her now husband had to leave the country for a year for work. I ended up making her a cake for it. And no, I wasn't invited because they wanted it to be small. She insisted, said she'd invite me to the actual ceremony, which took place last weekend. She asked me if I could do the wedding cake for that too, and I agreed, as I am a professional decorator as a side job. Yes, she paid me. This conversation happened in August 2019. I got the official invite to her wedding January 2021. Between that August convo and now, I met my now fiancé, 35 male, and we got engaged back in December 2020. I messaged my friend in January and said I was unable to do the cake as I moved 30 minutes away to live with him, and I had a small car at the time, so I couldn't deliver anymore and she didn't want to pick it up. A couple months later, I received a letter disinviting me from the ceremony citing health restrictions. These were lifted for weddings before this letter was sent out. I was a bit miffed because I feel I was only invited because I offered to do the cake and no longer could, but said nothing until this morning. FYI, I did not receive any money for this cake at all. She posted some wedding photos online and I liked one. She then called me seconds later and asked when to expect the invite to my wedding, to which I told her she wasn't invited, explaining the issue with the cake and me being disinvited from her wedding. She said I was taking it personally when it was about inviting close and essential people only, while also being safe. I asked her would I have still been invited if I had done the cake, and she said that's not relevant and called me vindictive. I told her it was relevant, and that I was disinvited because I no longer served a purpose to her. She got mad and said I was being petty, but I don't think I am. My fiancé and family agree with me, but some friends say I sound bitter. So am I the a-hole for not inviting her to my wedding? Edit. Her wedding had 150 people. I got the invite in January, not February. I did not refuse to make a cake a month before. I told her in January, and she got married in June. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. If you aren't close and essential enough to attend either for ceremonies, why would she expect to be so for your wedding? Yeah. If Opie was so unimportant as to not make the cut out of 150 guests, then it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out who the vindictive one is. Opie also didn't do something as tacky as her friend in inviting her. That was a low blow, especially citing health reasons when you have a guest list of 150 people. Had already had the person bake one cake for a ceremony they weren't invited to, then suddenly have concerns after they couldn't bake another cake for you. Either she was straight up using Opie for her mad baking skills in the first place, or was that vindictive simply because Opie could no longer do this huge favor. Either way, Opie is not the a-hole for not wanting the woman at her wedding. Friend, no cake, no invite. Opie, no invite, no invite. Friend, shocked Pikachu face. Not the a-hole, Opie. Not the a-hole. She wanted her cake, and when you didn't make it, she had no use for you anymore and threw you out. She can call you vindictive or petty all she wants. She's the one that disinvited you because you didn't make her a cake. She's not a friend. I was on the fence because if someone feels they need a small group for health reasons, that's a fair decision for them. But 150 guests? Yeah, it was about the cake. She isn't Opie's friend and is not owed anything. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Your wedding, you invite who you want. The fact she had planned for 150 people at her wedding and disinvited you is pathetic. 150 is not a small wedding. Did anyone else or any other friends get the same letter? Right? I had a bit less than that at my wedding that was back in 2011, pre-COVID. And that was inviting pretty much all our family and close friends plus some family friends. So inviting 150 people citing health concerns and Opie not making the cut says to me this friend doesn't consider Opie a close friend anyways. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for declining to pay for / approve of one daughter's wedding just after my other daughter's divorce? I, 57 male, have two daughters, 31 and 28. My younger daughter was married to a young man she had been with since high school. They married 3 years ago, and I was able to pay for a beautiful wedding. No issues. Unfortunately, their relationship did not survive the pressures of the pandemic, And 4 months ago, my younger daughter announced to us that they had split. We were all heartbroken, and it was very hard on my younger daughter. 2 weeks ago, my older daughter announced she was engaged to a guy she has been seeing for several years. I have nothing against her fiancé as he's a nice guy, although I don't know him well, and I want her to be happy. However, I feel as though her announcing her engagement was very insensitive in light of her sister's recent divorce, and I do not want to have another big family wedding right now as her sister is still dealing with the end of her marriage. I have also had to spend money on her divorce. I told my daughter that I could not in good conscience pay for her wedding now. I had planned to pay for both girls, and she should wait for a few years until our family was in a better place. My older daughter said she and her boyfriend were looking to start a family and wanted to be married. When I said I wouldn't pay, she said, "Do whatever you want," very immaturely and sullenly, and I haven't heard from her since. I am not trying to get in the way of their family planning, as I would not judge if they had a child prior to marriage. I'm just looking to be sensitive and save face for my family. However, my older daughter told some other family what happened, and they say I'm being an A, although I think she's leaving things out of context. Am I the a-hole in this situation? You're the a-hole. It's ridiculously inappropriate to expect one sibling to postpone marriage for years due to a sibling's divorce. But this is so ridiculous, I have a hard time believing it's for real. It's right there in Opie's post. Save face for the family. That's always a good motivator to make the wrong choice. You're the a-hole. So you're going to punish one daughter for the issues another is having in her own life? Just admit you like one daughter more than the other. Father of the year right here. Being very sarcastic. Good job proving to your oldest that you really only care for the youngest. I can't believe you had the nerve to say she should wait to be happy. You're the a-hole. Plus, he paid for the younger's wedding and divorce, but refused to pay for the older to save face, which then backfired. Opie, don't expect to get an invite to her wedding or have a relationship with any future grandkids. Yes, absolutely you're the a-hole, for a number of reasons. First of all, well, you're not an a-hole for this, but why are you paying for your daughter's divorce? Second, the fact that you're willing to pay for both the younger one's wedding and divorce but not for the others is completely imbalanced regardless of the circumstances. As one of 2 siblings, I can only imagine the frustration. Third, asking her to put her and her fiancé's life on hold for years is a ridiculous ask. And not just because they want to potentially have a baby and start a family, though while I'm on the subject, saying, "Well, I won't judge" is hardly helpful. Fourth, it wasn't there obviously, but to sullenly say, "Do whatever you want" in response to finding out you won't pay for her wedding too, is a lot less petty than she could have been. Again, it wasn't there, but it reads like a pretty reasonable response. I imagine that she was incredibly disappointed in that moment. And finally, her timing in announcing may have been inconsiderate. I don't know the dynamics at play. But it's not your place to be the sole protector of your other daughter's feelings. They're both adults, and if the younger one feels uncomfortable, then it's the 2 of them that need to have a conversation. They're not kids now. It's not your place to hold all the cards and impose your will in such major life decisions. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for being honest with my boyfriend's mom when she asked if I was enjoying her wedding? I've been with my boyfriend Alex for 2 years. I get along okay with his mom Jane, but sometimes she is a bit of a just no mother-in-law. Anyway, she got married recently. They wanted a smaller, more laid-back wedding because she did the traditional wedding the first time. They got married in a vineyard and it was really nice. For dinner, there was fancy brick oven pizza and salad, and later there was a mac and cheese bar. Dessert was caramel brownie cheesecake, or berry cobblers. I hate cobbler. You probably caught on that there was a lot of cheese. There were also charcuterie boards, so a whole ton of cheese. Don't get me wrong, I like non-traditional weddings, and the food was out of this world. But after dessert, I was on the verge of crapping myself. I went to the bathroom, feeling like I was going to die, and it wasn't pretty. The groom's 2 daughters, late teens and early 20s, were in there. They're both horrible. They have talked so much crap about Jane, and are just mean girls. When I came out, they were both snickering and looking at me. I was mortified. I ended up in there again, because holy hell, that woman likes cheese. Later, I went over to where she was sitting with her new husband, and Jane asked if I was having fun. I said it was beautiful, but admitted I'd been in agony because of her menu, And she really should have had some more balanced options, because a lot of people are dairy sensitive. I then told the groom about what happened with his daughters. He just looked at me weird, and then said it was his wedding night, and he doesn't want to hear an account of anyone crapping. My boyfriend got annoyed, and said I should have just lied, because you don't complain to the couple at the wedding. But I feel like she should know for future parties, and he should know so he can talk to his daughters. Jane is on her honeymoon, so I don't know if she's mad. She didn't seem it, but a couple of my friends said I'm the a-hole and it isn't Jane's problem. Now for the comments. You're the a-hole. Jesus, dude. Nobody made you eat all that dairy, and no one cares if you hate cobbler. Yeah, the cobbler comment got me too. It's like she expects their wedding menu to be tailored to her. I bet either the bride or groom likes cobbler a lot. But either way, they had 2 desserts in case people disliked one option. A lot of weddings just have cake. She's treating the wedding as a dining experience, the happy couple as service providers, and herself as a customer who's expecting her money's worth. You're the a-hole. A tactless a-hole. There was no reason for you to spoil their night. You could have said it was lovely and kept your opinion on the menu to yourself. If you thought what the girls were saying needed to be addressed, you could have easily sent an email in the following days. Also, if you know you were dairy sensitive, then why did you eat so much cheese in the first place? Opie's definitely one of the people who consider themselves honest/real, but in reality are just rude, tactless a-holes. I wonder why she doesn't have that great of a relationship with her mother-in-law. Lol. You're the a-hole. None of what you said was necessary. Firstly, nobody made you eat any of this. You know what your dietary restrictions are and should be well aware of your dairy limit. You probably should have had more salad and crackers and less pizza. Secondly, to go to the bride or groom and let them know anyone was talking crap was just crass. Pretty sure it's basic wedding etiquette to not bring up unnecessary drama to bride and groom during the wedding. Thirdly, you think she doesn't know what her stepdaughters say about her? You think he doesn't know? This isn't some grand revelation you made that needed to be shared right that damn moment. You're being a just no daughter-in-law. Last story. Am I the a-hole for announcing my pregnancy at my sister-in-law's engagement party? My fiancé, male 29, and I, female 29, have been trying to get pregnant for a while, and we did it. I'm now 2 months pregnant. We did not announce it to our family because I want to tell my mom first in person, and she does not live in the same city as me, and I'm planning to visit her end of July. Last weekend, I was at my sister-in-law's 23 engagement party. We don't really get along. Nothing major, just we have nothing to talk about, and I think she finds me weird. She got engaged, and because COVID restrictions have been mostly lifted where I live, we have a party at an outdoor restaurant. The party was going well, and obviously I was not drinking. I'm not a big drinker, so it's not completely strange for me not to drink, and nobody was taking notice. The problem arrived when my mother-in-law gave me a glass of my favorite sparkling wine. I knew she bought it just for me, so I could not really say no without looking strange. At first, I thought of saying that I was the designated driver, but I hate driving and everyone knows it. I am not a good liar, so I kind of just turned red. My mother-in-law suddenly had understanding in her eyes, and before I could stop her, she said, "Oh my God, are you pregnant?" Everyone turned towards us, and from that moment on, the party was no longer about my sister-in-law's engagement but the first baby in the family. My fiancé was happy to talk about it because he told me after that he really wanted his mom to know and was sad to keep it from her. Then my mother-in-law started talking about baby names. My sister-in-law looked really angry and was throwing dark looks at me the rest of the meal. Edit. I understand that even though I did not mean it, I was the a-hole. Even before posting, I had apologized, but I will try to do more. For the questions, I never said I never drink. Just that I am not a heavy drinker. Because of that, it is not rare for me to not drink at an evening. I could spend whole parties only with iced tea. Basically, I like the type of sparkling wine, but that's it. I thought that it would not be strange for me not to drink, and that's why I was not prepared to lie. Congratulations, you made your sister-in-law's engagement party all about you. Of course you're the a-hole. There's plenty of reasons not to drink. You can say you're taking antibiotics for a toothache. You're on a diet, whatever. All she had to do was graciously accept the drink, and then secretly pour it out, excuse herself to the bathroom and pour it out, or any number of other things. I do have a sneaking suspicion that she put on the act deliberately so that someone would guess. You're the a-hole. I would have just taken the glass, then walk off like I wanted to talk to someone else, then found some way to discreetly drain it. I just get a feeling you didn't try as hard as you might have for someone you actually liked. Yep. The details about a future sister-in-law not liking her seemed like attempted justification. Yep, my hubs and I even had a system for this when we weren't ready to announce yet. I would go up to him and say, "Oh my gosh, you would love this," and he'd take a big drink. And I would then get to walk around with a half-full drink, and everyone just assumed I had drank it. Bonus, no one then tried to give me another drink, as I clearly had one already. Props to him, his taste is much different than mine, but he did it anyway. Take a big drink and cheerfully say, "Nope, that's awful." You're the a-hole. You knew there would be alcohol there, so you had time to come up with an excuse not to drink. Say, "No thanks, upset stomach," or "Can't, doctor's orders." This bit is true. And let your spouse cover with a white lie she's on antibiotics. Instead, you played coy until she guessed. Then when you confirmed it, you knew sister-in-law was upset, but you let mother-in-law go on about baby names. You or husband relished the attention when you could have easily stood up and say, "Hey, I know you guys are excited, but there will be lots of time to celebrate. We are here for sister-in-law and her fiancé's engagement, and we want to direct the focus to that. I'm so happy for these two getting married, and a lot of planning went into this dinner, so please respect that." So you and your spouse are a-holes for letting it out, and then making no moves to shut down the attention. She absolutely could have directed the attention back to sister-in-law and her fiancé even after mother-in-law made the announcement. Her sister-in-law likely would have been miffed, and rightfully so, but now I'm sure she's enraged, and if you weren't married to her brother, I doubt you would be invited to the wedding.